I want now, because I'm just the warm-up act, to introduce our Shadow Education Secretary, Angela Rayner, to set out her vision for a national education service. Angela is somebody that has fought against very difficult odds to achieve the position she now occupies. She's an inspiration to a very large number of young people all over the country, because they see in Angela somebody who didn't have all the advantages that many others do in childhood and as a young person. But by her determination to learn, study, strive and get on and work for the good of others, she was elected to Parliament, and I'm very proud that she's our Shadow Education Secretary. So can I introduce to you the next Education Secretary, Angela Rayner.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you all for being here today. And to the people of this country, I say this: you have a clear choice on June the 8th. A choice between a Conservative government that has let you and your children down, or a Labour government that will stand up for you and provide a better education and life chances for all. The Conservatives said they would look after our children, but instead they've cut the funding to state schools, abolished education maintenance allowance and tripled tuition fees. Over the past 7 years, the Tories have been dismantling the incredible legacy of the last Labour government. And it has across the economy too. This Conservative government has held you back. If you're a teacher living the reality of falling investment and rising class sizes, you're being held back. If you're a parent like I am and your children aren't getting the education they deserve because class sizes are too high, then our children are being held back. It's truly frightening that school budgets are being cut for the first time in 20 years. We're going to see a generation of our children being held back, and it never used to be like this under Labour. Harold Wilson spoke of a new Britain forged in the white heat of technological revolution, and Tony Blair spoke of the need to rebuild an education system fit for a millennium. This is how Labour always equipped Britain to rise to the new challenges. The history of Labour in power is of us giving power to people to fulfil their potential, to have the economic security to start a family and get on in life, and to pass on to their children more than they were given. And education has always been at the heart of how we have delivered this. But in the past 7 years, as the Tories dragged us further away from the legacy of the last Labour government, more and more children are being held back. Held back by an education system that, under the Conservatives, isn't giving them the support that they need. That over 800,000 young people not in education, employment or training, who aren't able to get a good job, are being held back by a government that is not supporting them. The 9 million adults who have poor literacy or poor numeracy or both, too often are trapped in low-wage, low-skilled work, struggling to make ends meet as wages stagnate and living costs rise, are being held back by a government not giving them any support that they need. Now, I know how it feels to be held back, because for a long time I was held back too. If you grow up in poverty and on a rundown estate, it doesn't take much for you to feel held back. You feel like you've never have the same opportunities as your better off mates for even the most basic things. You feel like education isn't for you. You leave school without qualifications, you become NEET, as they like to call it. Just another statistic, on Philip Hammond's spreadsheet. Of course, in my case, I left school pregnant too. And at that point, you forget all about feeling held back and you start to worry about the most basic things. How to make ends meet and provide for a child. How to try and give them even a little bit more than you had yourself. You do the best you can. But it can be so easily, through no fault of your own, end up in an early adult life trapped in a cycle of deprivation, unable to get a decent wage. You need to break out of it. Slowly watching your dreams of becoming a nurse, a teacher or a scientist slip away as fantasies created by a young, naive child. But education can offer a lifeline that is simply transformative, and it shouldn't stop at a particular age in life. Like many people, including some of my colleagues, I went back to education as an adult to get the skills and the qualifications I missed the first time round. And I did that thanks to a Labour government introducing free childcare, Sure Start centres and free adult learner courses for my local college. It's difficult to say how much this changed my life. But I think I can safely say that if it hadn't been there for me, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today. I left school feeling I was thick, feeling a failure. For too many, the transformative power of education is lost, from the schools not getting the funding that they need, to the debts you need to take on to return to education as an adult. I feel that the opportunities that were there for me are not there for those who need them now. But things can be different. We can build a fairer, richer Britain where opportunity and prosperity can be shared by all, that provides businesses with the skilled and ready British workforce. And that is why I am proud today to announce the first stages of Labour's National Education Service. First, we will secure the best education possible for every single child by getting the basics right. And that starts with proper funding of our schools. We will reverse the £3 billion of cuts that our schools currently face by 2020 and protect per pupil funding over the course of the next Parliament. And unlike the Tories, when we say real terms, we mean real terms. No child would be held back by being in a school that doesn't have the staff it needs or can't offer the curriculum our children need. Under Labour, every child, whatever their background, will be given the opportunity to unlock their full potential. We will give further and technical education the parity of esteem that it deserves, not just with warm words, but with bold action. We will give further education to 16 to 19-year-olds the funding it needs, reversing the 7 years of managed decline under the Conservatives. NEETs will no longer be held back, but will instead be given the support that they need to go into further education and be able to acquire the qualifications they need to get on in life. It's vital that we have lifelong learning. Learning is a ticket not just out of poverty, but also out of isolation and loneliness that many of us will face at some point in our lives. 30% of jobs will be affected by the rise of automation. Up to 9 million more people who will see their industries decline and their livelihoods disappear. And if anyone thinks the Conservatives are up to the challenge that these changes to our economy will bring, I would remind them of this. What happened in the post-industrial towns up and down our country, including in Leeds? All the Conservatives did under power, under Margaret Thatcher and John Major, was to manage the decline of our industries and left nothing but low-paid, low-skilled work in its place. Ghost towns with the heart ripped out of our communities, left to rot with little opportunities. But I tell you, Theresa May, she's continuing Thatcher's legacy. And there's nothing strong and stable in creating an economy that holds people back and puts a cap on their ambition and leaves them in job insecurity. Only Labour has the vision to deliver a fairer Britain, where opportunities are available to all and prosperity is shared. The National Education Service has been developed by thousands of people, thousands of teachers and organisations who have spoken to me over the last 12 months, either by email or in person, in my many visits up and down the United Kingdom, and of course in my own constituency of Ashton-under-Lyne. The Labour Party has listened. You are at the heart of Labour's National Education Service, offering opportunity for all to ensure that nobody, be they a child, an adult or a community, is held back. This will help everyone who wants to use education to enrich their own life and their career, moving into jobs with better wages and more security. Education is a central pillar to Labour's plan to upgrade Britain's economy, because all of our businesses will benefit from Labour's plans too, as they thrive in a richer Britain. As Rebecca laid out earlier, productivity in Britain remains stubbornly low compared to our competitors. The average German worker can make everything a British one does in a week and take Fridays off. It is no surprise that countries with high quality technical education have more productive economies, which is why Labour will upgrade Britain's economy by ending the historic neglect of further education, giving teachers and facilities the investment they need to lead the world. I will make sure the education system is fit for the 21st century by introducing free, lifelong learning education in further education colleges. Labour will abolish adult learner loans and make all adult education free at the point of use for all those who need it. So adults who don't have the basic skills they need to move on and move up in life will no longer be held back by the fear of loans. They will instead be able to return to education whenever they need it. It will enable everyone to upskill or retrain at any point in their life. And it will correct the historic neglect of further education sector by investing in teachers and in our facilities. And Labour will set a target for all further education teaching staff to have teaching qualifications within 5 years, and we will back this up with financial support. We will increase capital investment to equip colleges to deliver T-levels and an official pre-apprenticeship training programme. Beyond lifelong learning, we will transform the provision of apprenticeships, but there must be a focus on quality and not just quantity. Frankly, the number of apprenticeships does not matter if they're more about poor wages than getting a foot on the career ladder. Currently, half of all apprenticeships are below national vocational qualification of level 2, and this is simply not good enough. So a Labour government will shift the emphasis from quantity to quality by doubling the number of completed level 3 apprenticeships before the end of the next Parliament. It is only by transforming our education system that we can upgrade our economy so that nobody and no community is left behind. And while the Tories have seen the benefits of the economic growth go to a small number of their very wealthy concentrated in the South East, Labour will share prosperity across the country. We will ring-fence 440 million from the apprenticeship levy to give small and medium-sized companies the support that they need to recruit and train highly skilled staff. And encourage joined-up thinking between local government, schools and the FE sector and businesses, so that everyone, young and old, can leave education with a valued qualification and the skills they need to get a decent job in their local community. And we recognise that 75% of apprenticeships are delivered by the independent providers, and we appreciate all of their contribution to the sector. And yes, we are going to ask businesses to pay a little bit more tax to fund it all, because they have an important opportunity, an important part to play in a new deal for Britain, transforming our economy. Quite simply, we are asking good businesses to do what they have always done and what they always do, to make long-term investments that will yield a significant economic return. And the Labour Party and Britain's businesses both know that we face our exit from the European Union, that we need to upskill our workforce to tackle the challenges we face in the years to come, and it has never been more important. Labour's National Education Service will give everyone in Britain, whatever their age or background, the opportunities they need to use education to transform their lives, just as it did for me. And the businesses that help us fund it will get a highly skilled workforce, more productive and better able to adapt to the challenges to come. This will give them the certainty and security they need to continue to create the jobs and wealth across Britain. There can be no doubt that we face great challenges in the years to come. From Brexit to the rise of automation, to the decline of industries that will be replaced in our economy by new high-tech and green industries. It takes a united approach of individuals and governments at all levels and of business to respond to them, to ensure that we can deliver opportunity and security and prosperity for all. By offering everyone a properly funded school, a high-quality technical education and support for lifelong learning that will allow everyone to reskill, retrain and return to education as they need to. Quite simply, we will rise to the challenge that was laid down 20 years ago to deliver an education service fit for a new millennium, to deliver richer lives for Britain and a richer Britain for us all. A national education service delivering hope and prosperity for the many and not the few.